Right now, as you watch this, the ground in East Africa is tearing open. Not slowly, not metaphorically, literally, physically, audibly. In 2018, a crack nearly 60 feet wide and several miles long ripped across a highway in southwestern Kenya. Almost overnight. Villages shook, the earth exhaled steam, and scientists rushed to the site not with fear, but with something closer to awe. Because what they were looking at wasn't a disaster, it was a birth. The birth of a brand new ocean. Africa is the second largest continent on Earth. It has stood as one solid landmass for hundreds of millions of years. Ancient, immovable, permanent. Or so we thought. Beneath the surface of East Africa, something extraordinary is happening. A force so colossal, so relentless, that it is slowly pulling the continent apart at the seams. Geologists call it the East African Rift System, a network of fractures, valleys, and faults stretching over 3,000 miles from the Afar Triangle in the north, down through Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and deep into Mozambique. This is not a crack in the sidewalk. This is the planet reorganizing itself. And for the first time in human history, we are alive to watch it happen. To understand what's happening, you need to go down, far down, beneath the crust, beneath the mantle, to a place where rock moves like slow boiling tar. Deep below East Africa, a massive column of superheated mantle material, called a mantle plume, has been pushing upward for tens of millions of years. Like a blowtorch held beneath a sheet of ice, it softens the crust from below, causing it to thin, stretch, and eventually crack. The result is a rift valley. A long, narrow trough where two sections of the continent are being pulled in opposite directions. The East African Rift is actually split into two arms. The Eastern Rift, which runs through Ethiopia and Kenya, and the Western Rift, which curves around the Great Lakes of Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. Together, these two arms are slowly peeling East Africa away from the rest of the continent, at a rate of roughly 1/4 of an inch per year. That may sound insignificant, but geology doesn't need to be fast. It just needs to be relentless. If you want to find the most dramatic front line of this geological revolution, you go to the Afar Triangle. Located at the junction of three tectonic plates, the African Plate, the Arabian Plate, and the Somali Plate, the Afar region of northeastern Ethiopia is one of the most geologically active places on Earth. It sits at a triple junction where three rifts meet, and the ground here is in a constant state of restless transformation. In 2005, a sequence of earthquakes opened a 60-kilometer fissure in just a matter of days. In some places, the ground dropped 10 meters almost instantly. Lava poured in from the sides. Scientists who arrived shortly after described looking down into a wound in the earth. And here is the extraordinary detail. The Afar Triangle is already sitting below sea level in some areas. The region is being stretched so thin, so fast, that it is actively sinking. Water from the Red Sea is already beginning to seep in at the edges. The ocean isn't coming someday. In the Afar Triangle, it has already arrived at the door. For decades, geologists estimated this process would unfold over tens of millions of years. Gradual, imperceptible, almost academic in its slowness. Recent data has forced scientists to revise that assumption. Satellite imaging, GPS ground measurements, and seismic monitoring now show that the rift is moving faster and more dynamically than early models predicted. In certain zones, the plates are not just drifting, they are lurching. Stress builds along fault lines, then releases in sudden bursts of movement. The 2005 Afar event alone created displacement that, under older models, should have taken hundreds of years. Volcanic activity along the rift has also intensified. Oldoinyo Lengai in Tanzania, the only active volcano in the world that erupts carbonatite lava, has become more restless. The Erta Al lava lake in Ethiopia, one of the longest continuously active lava lakes on the planet, has surged and receded in ways that suggest increasing pressure from below. The machinery beneath Africa is not winding down, it is accelerating. So what does the end of this story look like? Scientists believe that over the next 5 to 10 million years, a blink of time in geological terms, the Somali Plate, which carries the Horn of Africa and East Africa's coastline, will fully detach from the Nubian Plate that holds the rest of the continent. As the two plates separate, the rift valleys will sink lower and lower. The Indian Ocean will pour in, flooding the gap between them, filling the basin mile by mile, century by century. The result will be an entirely new ocean, a narrow, elongated sea, not unlike the Red Sea looks today. In fact, the Red Sea itself is a product of this exact process. The Arabian Peninsula separated from Africa roughly 30 million years ago along a rift just like this one, and seawater flooded the gap. East Africa is following the same script. What was once a single landmass will become two separate continents. A smaller Somali landmass drifting slowly toward the east, and a larger Africa remaining behind. The map of the world will be redrawn, not by politics, not by borders, by fire and time. But this isn't only a story of rock and tectonics. Millions of people live in and around the East African Rift, in Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo. The rift has always shaped life here. The Great Rift Valley Lakes, Turkana, Malawi, Tanganyika, Victoria, are among the deepest and most biodiverse freshwater lakes on Earth. They exist because of the rift. The fertile volcanic soils that have supported human civilization in this region for millions of years, literally the cradle of humankind, are a direct product of rift volcanism. Our earliest ancestors walked this land precisely because the rift created the ecological conditions that favored upright walking, open grasslands, and adaptability. The same force that is tearing the continent apart built the world we came from. And today, communities near active fault zones face very real challenges: occasional earthquakes, ground subsidence, the disruption of infrastructure. The 2018 Kenya rift crack cut directly through a road and forced evacuations from nearby homesteads. For the people living along the rift, this is not an abstract geological phenomenon. It is the ground beneath their feet. There have been 5 major continental breakups in Earth's recorded geological history: Pangaea, Gondwana, Laurasia. Each one reshaped the planet completely, rerouting ocean currents, altering climates, triggering mass extinctions, and opening entirely new evolutionary pathways. We have never witnessed one happening in real time. Until now. Modern technology has given us tools our predecessors could only dream of. GPS arrays that measure millimeters of ground movement per year, satellite radar that detects surface deformation from orbit, seismic networks that map the interior of the Earth with extraordinary precision. For the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of this planet, a species has the ability to observe, measure, and begin to comprehend a continental breakup as it unfolds. That is not a small thing. It is one of the most profound privileges in the entire story of science. Africa is breaking apart. The ground is opening. The magma is rising. The ocean is waiting just over the horizon. In 5 million years, maybe 10, a new sea will fill the space where valleys now sit, baking under the equatorial sun. Ships will sail over land where lions once hunted. Fish will swim through the sky above ancient volcanoes. The Earth is not finished becoming what it is going to be. And somewhere in that vast, humbling truth is something worth sitting with for a moment. We are not just watching the planet change. We are part of its story. A species that emerged from the very rift that is now rewriting the map of the world. The ground is moving beneath us, and it always has been.